Alright, so today we have the patch notes for the upcoming update on November 10. There's gonna be some big changes when it comes to the event, the outpost defense, but the biggest change, and probably the most awaited, is going to be for Red Hood. There has been a lot of talk about this character and her getting a buff, so now that she is actually getting one, we are going to talk about how good this buff is and what this actually means for her place in the meta. And on a quick side note, I still haven't actually read the comments of my previous video, but seeing that it only has 85% likes, which is actually kind of low compared to what I usually get, and it also has 100 plus comments, which is way more than I usually get in my videos, I'm just going to assume that it's going to be a fun read. But regardless, let's actually talk about this buff. So the buff that Red Hood is going to get is actually for her burst. They adjusted the damage inflicted by her burst skill when you are using it during phase 3. And so you can see all the damage numbers here per level, but we are going to focus on level 10. So currently before the buff, she is dealing 27.8% of her final attack as damage, and for a lot of cases, that is actually low damage, except for when you are attacking enemy cores and multiple enemy boss parts at the same time. But after the buff, she is now going to deal 51.46% of her final attack as damage. So that is almost double of what she is doing right now. And with these changes, you can expect her ratings to go up. So looking at Pride 1 and their ratings before the buff, this is actually not bad. So for Burst 1, she is S to SS tier, and it's pretty much the same for Burst 3. The only problem is her Burst 2, because when you use her Burst during Phase 2, she's going to get Lifesteal, which is not really needed, especially considering that the meta teams that we have right now, so Bunnies and Naga and Tia, both have built-in healers in their team. So having Lifesteal on top of that is kind of redundant, and not to mention that if you use Red Hood for Burst 2, it's going to overlap with the other Burst 2 units that actually have a 20-second cooldown. But we're taking a look at this rating because after the buff, I can actually see her going to triple S tier for a lot of these ratings. And I'm specifically talking about boss with ads, early story, and even boss solo. And the reason for that is because for Burst 3, her attacks already have a really good radius and also decent damage. But with the buff that is essentially giving her double the damage, then that is easily going to improve her performance. So for my predictions, early story, easy triple S tier, same with boss with ads, and maybe double S tier for solo, but I wouldn't be surprised if she actually goes up to triple S tier for this one. But now that we know how she's getting buffed, the real question now is it actually worth getting more copies for Red Hood? And for me, the answer is still pretty much the same for every other character that you're getting multiple copies for. So yes, Red Hood is getting a really good buff, but at the end of the day, the only benefit that you're getting from multiple copies is actually a 2% increase in stats. And because of how good Red Hood is right now, or should I say after the buff, a 2% increase in stats is not going to make a huge difference. And even if you want to get Red Hood to max limit break, a 6% increase in stats, also considering how much you have to spend, is not really worth it in my opinion. She is already good as she is, and she is getting better with the buff, and because of how good the buff is, I actually don't think that you need to get multiple copies for Red Hood to make her even better. And even if you max limit break her, and you get that 6% increase in stats, and then you also get her to attraction level 40, how much increase in stats that you're actually getting from that is only equivalent to a level 0 tier 9 attacker glove. I don't exactly know the numbers off the top of my head, but I'm probably going to have a picture up on the screen so that you have a rough idea of what you're getting if you get a character to attraction level 40. So considering all of that, a 6% increase in stats plus a level 0 piece of equipment. But now you have to think about how much you have to spend to actually get that increase in stats. So typically, one copy is probably going to net you $100 on average, but this is still a gacha game, so it can be better, it can be worse, but for most cases, it's going to be worse. So let's say that you pay $100 for each copy. A 6% increase in stats plus another glove, is that really worth $300-ish? If you ask me, not really. I would rather use that money on the upcoming Modernia figure, but hey, that's just me. So overall, this buff is really good, but getting Red Hood to max limit break or even beyond that is still not going to be worth it. But if you think Red Hood is going to love you more if you get her to max limit break, then by all means, go ahead. Moving on, we have some more changes when it comes to the event and as well as the outpost defense. So for the event, they are actually adjusting some of the missions, which is actually a good thing because a lot of these missions actually take you a very long time to finish. So for the first one, they are decreasing the amount of raptures that you have to beat to actually complete the challenge stage. So from 5,000 to 1,000, 10,000 down to 2,000, and from 20,000 down to 3. So if you haven't completed this event like me, then you're gonna have an easier time doing so. And then the next change, which I actually really like, and I believe this was announced during the first anniversary live stream, they're now going to increase the accumulation time for the outpost defense. So from 12 hours up to 24 hours, which is huge, especially for me as someone who has a lot of things to do, and I also have a lot of gacha games that I play. Sometimes I don't actually log in that often, to the point where my outpost is always maxed out. So this is huge for the more casual players and those who don't really play a lot. And for me personally, I highly appreciate this change. So yeah, that is pretty much it for the upcoming changes that will be coming on November 10. Congrats to everyone who has been bugging and asking for the buff for Red Hood, spamming the comments and all that stuff, because now she is actually getting a buff. With that being said, let me know your thoughts about these changes in the comments below, and as always, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.